Hey folks, here with number one son and number one mummy of number one son, Victoria.
Hello.
And today we thought we would talk about, well, specifically Victoria is going to talk about Indigo's birth.
Yeah. So, Indigo's birth. It was the most amazing and magical experience of my life. It was just meeting Indigo for the first time and holding him and the build up to it, because you're waiting and waiting and you're really expecting, you're wondering what your baby's going to look like, what he's going to be like. So it's kind of, yeah, it was really exciting time, and it was kind of felt so good once we'd given birth. So during my pregnancy, I had a lot of I really enjoyed watching videos on YouTube of people giving birth and also people talking about their birthing experiences. So we thought we'd do a video today and just share our experience. So I had a really easy pregnancy. I kind of laid back a lot and read a lot of books about birth and pregnancy and children and what else? I did quite a bit of walking, but not much else exercise-wise apart from that. And during the majority of my pregnancy, I was in Spain, and Matthew was making me nice juices and smoothies all the time, which was really good. And then for the last month and a half, we went to Ireland and we stayed with my mum. And the plan was that we were going to have an unassisted home birth with, and we were going to do a lotus birth where you keep the placenta attached to the baby and until it falls off naturally.
Which takes about 4 to 7 days usually.
Yeah, which can take about 4 to 7 days. So when it came time to give birth, I about 3 days before I was due to give birth, I went into what's called pre-labour, where I started having contractions, and I thought, wow, I'm going to give birth. So I got up really early that morning. I think I got up about 4:30, and I started cleaning everything. I was kind of really excited, and the contractions got really strong and really painful, and but no baby. And it went on for three days where I had really strong contractions. I was in so much pain, and I actually thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to give birth, because I was just in so much pain, and I couldn't lie down, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't lie in a bed. I sat up for 3 days because I just wasn't comfortable in any position. It was just too painful. And we bought a really big water birthing pool, and so I did spend some time in that, and I found that was really good relief. You want to tell everybody, Indigo?
He was kicking like this the whole time.
Yeah,
he was trying to get out.
He was really kicking.
It's like, I was doing this for 3 days and she wouldn't let me out.
Yeah. So for 3 days, and I remember during my pregnancy I'd read, Ina May Gaskin talks about some people who have trouble giving birth or who have really long labours. It can be because of something that they're, some unconscious thoughts process that's going on in their head, or some unresolved issue. And I know it's something also that Elena Tonetti talks about, is before you give birth, it's really important to sort out your psychology so that you're going to have an easy birth. So I think during my pregnancy I kind of was a little bit naive and a little bit self-righteous, in that when people were sending me, some people who sent me emails or letters about their birth, and I thought, I don't have any issues, don't tell me about. I didn't want to hear anybody's negative experiences, because I thought it would affect mine negatively, and
which it probably did. There's some strong negativity, yeah, which did have an effect, I think.
But I think the main thing, what I'm trying to say is, the main thing is that it wasn't really other people's issues which affected me the most. It was my own unconscious. There was issues that I had unconsciously, which I was holding on to, which actually stopped me from, which made me have such a long labour, which I'm going to talk about now. So it got to a point, I think on the Friday, which is the 6th, which is Indigo, the day that Indigo was born, and I said, Matthew, I can't do this, I can't do it anymore, I'm in too much pain, I just want to go into the hospital. Basically, I had to give up all of my judgments of everybody else's birth, because I got to a point where I was in so much pain. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to the hospital, I'm going to have all the painkillers, I'm gonna, you know, whatever it is they want to do, want to give me an epidural, just let's do it, let's have this baby. I just want to give birth now, I'm ready. And I was crying, and Matthew said to me, Victoria, in the calm way that only he can do, he said, Victoria, you know, you can do whatever you want, but remember our intention for this birth was to give Indigo as peaceful and loving and welcoming onto planet Earth as possible, and we want him to know that he's loved and welcome, and we don't want him to come in and experience all these nasty chemicals. And so basically I thought, okay, we'll do it. So he said, let's just try some more things. So I went and I got in the birthing pool, and Matthew went out for a bit, and I did some NLP, I did some EFT where I was tapping on it, and I was asking myself questions, you know, what could it possibly be that's causing me to hold on to this baby, and I was tapping, you know, even though I'm not able to give birth and I'm in so much pain, I deeply, completely love and accept myself. And then it came to me that I needed to give up all my judgment of other people's births and experiences, because just the slightest twist, I could have been there in that hospital, only Matthew hadn't told me, and maybe I would still be. So I gave up all my judgments of anybody else's birth that I had maybe judged. And what I did was I did Ho'oponopono, where you say, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and I focused on anybody who I judged. And I sent them love, and I said, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I thought about their birth, and I thought, you know, everything's perfect, everything happens for a reason, and it's not for anybody to decide what's good or what's not good, because sometimes baby wants to have a certain experience, and it wants to come in a certain way to have that experience in this lifetime. So I did that, so I gave up all my judgments. So that was one thing that helped me to give birth, and after I'd done that, I had I had to go to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom, and then I had this realization that I wasn't going to be, that I had a fear of taking my clothes off and having Matthew look at my backside whilst I give birth for such a long period of time. And you think, well, Victoria, you're an adult, I mean, it's kind of crazy. But when I was a teenager, I just went right back to being a teenager. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, secondary school, and I remember being in the changing rooms, and we must have been about 14, and I used to put my tracksuit bottoms on underneath my skirt, and then I used to have this funny way that I used to put my t-shirt on underneath my jumper and then take it off, so that I was just used to that. I'm very prudish, and for whatever reason, maybe other girls grew out of it, but I was still prudish. I brought that into my adulthood with me. So I realized, okay, you know, part of it was that. And then I also had a fear. It just, all these fears actually came to the forefront then, and I realized, it's like, wow. Another fear I had was that when I'd read in a book that when women give birth, sometimes they go to the toilet for number 2. They release their bowels, because when they relax. So I was really afraid of doing that. So basically I was holding Indigo in because I was afraid of having to go to the toilet during giving birth. So anyway, once I realized that I had those fears, then I kind of said to myself, look, your baby's more important than any silly childish fears. So it was kind of like, once I realized that and I was able to clear it, pretty much almost immediately I stood up and I washed my hands and I thought, oh my gosh, Matthew, I'm going to give birth now. And so I called Matthew, and basically we had planned to give birth in the birthing pool, but are you okay, our Indigo?
He's okay.
He's okay. We planned to give birth in the birthing pool, but something said to me, Victoria, you're not going to give birth in the birthing pool, we're going to clean a new space, because basically the birthing pool filled up my entire bedroom. So we cleared a new space and we put a mattress down, and do you want to help from here? Do you want to talk about what happened next?
What point are we at?
Well, we cleared the space and I got down onto my hands and knees and started to push.
Oh yeah, and I said, are you sure you should be pushing them? Is your cervix fully dilated? And for whatever, you know, I was totally, at that moment, I was completely gone. You know, when you're giving birth, something happens and you're on a different plane. And I kind of just looked up to him and I said, Matthew, I'm giving birth to my baby now. You connected to your higher self.
I connected to my higher self, and you know, it wasn't about how dilated my cervix was or anything else. I just knew intuitively that in that moment I needed to push. I mean, I'd read books where it said, oh, you don't need to push, the baby comes out naturally. And for my sister and I think my mom, neither of them really thought that they pushed, the baby just came out. But definitely I really needed to push. And I really felt that I needed to push, and it felt really good once I started pushing. So I sent Matthew out of the room for a bit.
Then I realized then that the baby really was coming after 3 days of, it was just like a complete endurance test. For me as well, actually, because like Tori was like going through contractions like literally every 10 or 15 minutes for 3 days and 3 nights consistently, and I was sitting there with her, so we literally had no sleep whatsoever for that time. And you know, with the whole tension of, you know, when's this going to happen, each day it wasn't happening. So as soon as that happened, I kind of realized that, okay, it really is happening now. And so then I went into the room, and then I could actually see, Tori called me and said, Indigo's head's crowning. So I went in and saw, okay, wow, it really is. And it just seemed to go for ages and ages and ages.
Not bad.
And
wait 1 second. Keep going.
I didn't think I was going to have to talk, so I hadn't thought about anything. and it was just like this, like it was like really, really long. Because the head wasn't like that. The head was like like this coming through. It wasn't like a head like that. It was like this. And I was like, is this human that's coming out? It just didn't look human to me, because just this like really long kind of conical shape coming out. And then that seemed to happen a while, and then suddenly I was looking down, and suddenly this like, when it came like this here, and there's like these eyes started blinking at me, and then it was just like, wow, that's just incredible. As soon as I saw the eyes blinking at me and these eyes looking at me, that was just absolutely amazing. And then it just like came down a bit more, and this all happened very, very slowly, like over a few, I don't know, a few minutes at least or more. It's hard to say. Time just kind of went away, and then like the nose came, then the breath started to go, and then the mouth started spinning a bit, and then it's just like, wow, this is just incredible. And then it kind of came down here, then it stopped, and then there's no more movement for a while, and then something said to me, just like voice said to me, check the neck for the cord. And so I kind of put my fingers in and checked the neck and thought, no, I can't feel the umbilical cord there. And then I was just like taking my hand away, and then somebody said, no, check again, check deeper. So I checked again, and I put my finger really in, and his cord was actually tight, like at least 3 times around the neck, like really, really tight. And so I actually had to take the cord then and unwind it like over his head like a few times, and it was so tight, it was incredible. And as soon as the cord came off, then pop came out the shoulder, and then he just kind of came out, and it was just like slippery as an eel. It was just trying to hold him. He's so slippery. You were. And then I just kind of passed him through Tori's legs to her, and she took Indigo then in her arms, and that wasn't it, but
that was that was the first part of it. So that having him, it was just so amazing. It's like seeing your baby for the first time, and I was just looking at him, and I looked at him, and for a split second it was like I could talk to him without actually saying anything. It was like I could see a star from me to him, and I was talking to him, and he understood me perfectly, and it was so beautiful. Yeah, it was. And so then we went into the bedroom, and I tried to feed him, and I couldn't. And he didn't seem to naturally suckle like a lot of babies. I know my sister's baby came out, and immediately she was really went straight for the breast, but Indigo really didn't. And so I went from being really prudish, not wanting to take my clothes off, to having Matthew, Lizzie, and my sister and my mum all trying to squeeze my nipples, trying to help Indigo to feed. Yeah. So he didn't feed, and well, what we did was I called my mum and said, "Do you want?" Matthew called my mum and said, "Do you want to come and see your grandson?" So we called her into the room, and so she came to meet Indigo, but I still hadn't birthed the placenta at this stage, and I was just trying to get him to feed, because I believed if I could get him to feed, that it would help me to have more contractions, and then I'd be able to birth the placenta. So I squatted, and I did all kinds of different exercises, and nothing would birth the placenta, and at the same time it was really difficult because Indigo still wasn't feeding, and I was kind of worrying, and my mum was there, and because the cord was really short, so my mum, maybe I shouldn't have called my mum into the room. Maybe that was, look, in hindsight I would have stayed in the birthing room and until I'd done the full thing. But what happened at the time was
well, the birth's not really over until the placenta is birthed, and we kind of got caught up in everything and kind of forgot about that a little bit.
We were just so excited that Indigo had appeared, and I wanted to show my mum, and in that excitement maybe we kind of lost the energy of giving birth. And so definitely if I was giving birth, one thing I would most certainly do is not contact anybody or even have anybody else into the room until you'd birthed the placenta. So, but my mum was really worried because the placenta was so short, and I was holding Indigo the whole time.
The cord was so short.
What did I say?
The placenta.
Okay, sorry, the cord was so short, and so she kept saying, "Oh, Victoria, just cut the cord, just cut the cord." But I was holding out. No, we're going to do this lotus birth. So we waited, was it 12 hours? 12 hours. We waited 12 hours, maybe just over 12 hours. And in the end, I think it was just causing my mum too much stress, and I thought, okay, we'll cut it. And the cord, you know, I thought at least he'd had 12 hours, and I was kind of happy that he'd had that.
So I tied a little bit of cord.
A little bit of rope.
Just cord.
Yeah,
a bit of cord around each side of the umbilical cord, and then just cut it. And by then it was, when a baby's first born, they cut the umbilical cord. It's still like really like squidgy, but by this stage, it like all the you know, nutrients, all the fluids and everything had gone through, and so the cord was like just like a bit of rubber by this stage, without all the fluids and everything in it. So it was completely different to the way the cord is normally cut, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to keep the cord attached, because the baby's still receiving so much nutrients, and that's what the T cells and which really boosts the baby's immune system. And when that cord is cut prematurely, the baby doesn't get all that. So that's one of the reasons why we want to keep the cord attached and do the lotus birth. But 12 hours still by that stage there didn't seem to be much left or anything left in there. It had all kind of gone through in those 12 hours, so it seemed like okay, it's okay to do that right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've cut the cord, and because it was cut then, you know, it was no issue with it, you know. It was like it didn't get infected or anything like that.
Yeah. And then how long after that did we?
It was pretty much almost 2 days. It was 2 days really.
So 2 days later, the placenta still hadn't come out, and so I decided he actually did start feeding, and when he was feeding I was bleeding a lot, and I remembered Matthew's brother had sent me an article about this home birther in Australia who'd given birth okay, but she had hemorrhaged to death. And I thought, I'm not gonna die now I've had a beautiful baby just because I've got these ideas about the way I wanted my birth to be. So I decided to go into hospital and get the placenta taken out. So we went into hospital. This was still good. We went into hospital, and the lady on duty, it was at night time, wasn't it, in the evening? She said, oh, well, what we're going to do is we're going to put you under anaesthetic, and we'll try and take it out manually. If we can't take it out manually, we'll have to cut you open and give you a C-section and take it out that way. And I looked at her and I said, please don't put me on anaesthetic.
Like general anaesthetic is what they wanted to do.
Yeah, sorry, general anaesthetic. Please don't put me under general anaesthetic. Whatever you do, I've got a really high pain threshold. Just do it. I'll be fine. And she looked at me and said, oh, we always put people under general anaesthetic, or unless they've had an epidural, in which case they've had an epidural, in which case they just take it out that way. So, but I said no, I definitely don't want an epidural. And so anyway, what was happening was there was going to be a change of shifts between the night staff and the morning staff by the time they were able to do it. So meanwhile, I was blowing into a bottle. They had this plastic bottle, and she said to me, just keep blowing on it all the time. So I was feeding indigo and blowing on this bottle in order to try and get the placenta to come down naturally, but it still didn't. And then in the morning, the staff changed over. They came in, they said, oh, we've talked about you, and I hear you've got a really high pain threshold. And I said, yeah. And she said, okay. She said, well, look, we're going to try it. We're going to try and take your placenta out without giving you any drugs.
This was a really beautiful Sudanese doctor.
Oh yeah, she was beautiful.
She was so nice, just like an angel, like amazing. We couldn't have asked for a better doctor in the world. She was incredible. It
was so nice because when she walked into the room, I just felt this. She was this beautiful presence, and I kind of just knew it was almost like, okay, I'm going to be okay now. So she said, okay, you don't need to take any drugs, but she said, we've got gas and air. So I took the gas and air, and I had the mask on my face, and I could just remember breathing in and breathing. I thought, wow, no, I know now why people like the gas and air. It was really good. But
so I held indigo while all this was happening.
Oh yeah, Matthew held indigo the whole time.
It was very intense, really intense.
It was quite intense, and I just breathed in and out of the machine, of the gas and air thing, and she was able to take out the placenta. And I think
with her hand.
And I think there's no way it would have come out naturally because it was actually stuck to my side of my
to the womb.
To the womb.
Stuck to the womb.
So that's really the story of the birth, and then obviously I had to rest for a few days. But basically the Sudanese doctor came to see us, and she said she'd never seen that before in her life, that somebody had the placenta taken out without any...
After 2 days. She said she'd never come across a placenta that had been actually in for 2 days, without being taken out. And they thought that
they thought I was lying about how when he was born.
They were amazed by the cord, that it was all dried up. They said, are you sure this baby was only born 2 days ago? Because the cord was so dried up, because we hadn't cut it for 12 hours. They'd never seen that before. So
and usually sometimes the cord gets all kind of, you have to be really careful with it and put disinfectant on it, and you know, but it dried up really well, didn't it?
They were amazed at, you know, like some of them said, like, part of us are just so angry at you for not you know, getting proper medical assistance, and the other parts just like, wow, well done, you know, you just given birth to a super healthy baby. You know, they gave him like APGAR score of 9 out of 10, and just said it's a super healthy baby. The cord is just perfect. Just you're just unlucky with the placenta. That's all they could say. You're just unlucky with that. So you know they were really impressed, and we were the talk of the maternity ward. Probably still are, and yeah. So that's little Indigo's birth story, home birth story.
So I was going to say, I want to just quickly a couple of things that I would do differently. One is I wouldn't let anybody else into the room until after I done the final part of the birth, and in the case, just in case it was possible that I would have been able to give birth. The second thing is I would eat 100% organic and raw during my pregnancy next time. This time I did eat some cooked food, especially when I was home in Ireland, because my mum was cooking it for me, so I started eating some cooked food, so I wouldn't eat any cooked food, and definitely organic. But part of me is wondering why my placenta was stuck to my womb, and I'm thinking, you know, you just don't know food-wise whether things are what quality the food is if it's not organic. So that was one of the things, and obviously next time, I don't know, I remember Matt and Angela Stokes Monarch, they didn't tell anybody that they were giving birth, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe I wouldn't do that next time. Maybe I would just go away somewhere for a couple of months and come back with my baby. But definitely I would do a home birth again, and I think that all women naturally can give birth at home without help, and I think it's very safe. But what it's down to is every woman should do what they personally feel most comfortable giving birth. So I thought I'd leave you with that, and
we are doing a birthing series, right?
parenting series.
Parenting series, conscious parenting series. So you know, any questions that you might have, whether it be about the birth or conscious parenting, what we're doing, you know, please ask them, and we'll make future videos with those sorts of things in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That was it in a nutshell. It was.
It went on quite a bit longer than that.
But that's in a nutshell. Yeah, that's as short as we can get it for YouTube video anyway. Yeah. Yeah. But the whole thing was absolutely incredible. It was just amazing, and you know. It all worked out, yeah. And you know, to Victoria for just having amazing endurance for like 3 days and 3 nights of just contractions, and then you know, still going through having the natural birth. You know, just so much courage there. It was incredible, and so much conviction as well. And then he was just kicking for 3 days and 3 nights solid, like, you know, and he just come out stronger than ever because of it. So yeah, this is the result.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Okay. Speak soon.